All right, welcome on to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome on to this Q&A. A few questions came in. We'll see where they go exactly. Someone asked that, let's say, a person bought merchandise. They bought certain merchandise, let's say, for their business, and when buying it, they get a guarantee. Right? Only, guarantee that we have in life is death and taxes, right? Not necessarily in that order, but okay. They're given a guarantee. They're given a guarantee that the merchandise is authentic, right? 100%, right? As I would say, it's 100% the real deal. Very good, right? So it's 100%. 100% they give authenticity and the guarantee. Right? They're given a guarantee that it's authentic. Okay. Now what happens? What happens? Person therefore puts out the item. They put it up for sale for their business, and the item they find out is not authentic. Yeah, they're selling it, or let's say they sold it even better. They sold it, but it's not really what it is. In other words, the person they got it from, whatever the merchandise is, claims 100%. It's 100%, authentic, whatever it is. Now to come find out it's not. So the question is, are they liable if they provide a guarantee the item was authentic? Yeah, interesting question. And the answer is that they 100% are going to be liable. Now, why are they going to be liable? Right? What's the simple answer? Simple answer, why are they going to be liable? Fraud. Right? Totally fraud. Because they are selling something and giving something credibility that doesn't have. In other words, they're saying it is made 100%, let's say, out of gold, 100% gold, right? And the answer is it's not. If someone bought, I don't know, a shirt or a blouse, and it had gold around it, so obviously they charge more money for it. Yeah. First time they washed it, it came off. Right? So get the money back because they're saying, they're charging more because of what they're claiming it is. But it's false claim. Right? If it's like got gold around it, there's no reason whatsoever to wash off. First time, you put it in the washing machine. Doesn't matter what washing machine, doesn't matter what cycle it's on. There's no rhyme or reason it should come off. So that is misleading. That is called fraud, right? That is misrepresenting something that it isn't. So therefore, now there are two things here. The person who gave this business this object or whatever it is, they're the ones that claim it's authentic. So they're the ones committing fraud. Now this applies to Jews and non-Jews. Can't misrepresent over here. Right? You're not allowed to lie. Yeah, certainly when it comes to business. That is misrepresentation. Yeah, you can say, well, let the buyer beware, let them investigate. I don't know. They're claiming it's real, it's authentic. I mean, how much more do you have to dig in to see if it is or not? Right? But ignorance is in bliss over here. So the people selling it, 100% they're defrauding the person. Nothing to talk about. Now, problem is the person who bought it, the person's using it and sold it. What happens now? They're selling something that is not what they said it was. But they didn't know. They're relying on the person that sold it to them. Very good. Yeah. So again, nothing to talk about. The person who sold it to them, they are in deep trouble here. That is fraud. That clear is fraud. Now, the person selling it, even if we're going to say they should have known better, right? Even if you're going to say they should have known better, okay. Yeah, but they are relying, who are they relying on here? They are relying on the person that sold it. Now, even if they're relying on the person that sold it, the person that sold it committed fraud. The person selling it is also committing fraud. 100% committing fraud. You're going to say, but he's assuming the person selling it to them is telling the truth. Very good. Okay. Even if that is the case, they are committing fraud. So they would have to refund the money. If someone calls them on and say, well, I found out this isn't, what you said it was, right? They can demand the money back. Now, the person says, well, the company told me. Company I got it from said it's authentic. Okay. So now what is that person going to do? They are going to go back to the company. And they're going to say, hey, you sold me this. I want my money back. They can go after the company. They got a very good claim. Because they're going to say, you defrauded me. You don't have a right to defraud me. You're claiming it's pure gold. It's not pure gold. Came out in one wash. Can't be gold. Gold doesn't do that. That's fraud. So the person who used it for their business get their money back for sure. The other person has to pay. But it's a very interesting question here. Because they're selling it on the premise that it's authentic. Now, if it's authentic, it's no problem. If the person knows it's not authentic, right, we'll make it very easy. If the person knows, the one who's selling it knows it's not authentic, and they sell it as being authentic, that's fraud. That's misleading. So I know of a story. A friend of mine heard the story himself, firsthand, was there. An Orthodox Jew comes to one of the Torah giants of the generation and asks him the following question. He asks him, listen, I have certain what do you call it? Certain fabric. I have grade A, grade B, and grade C. So the person asked the question, I want to sell it all as grade A. So the rabbi looks at him and says, I don't understand the question. So what does this person do? Says a little bit slower, a little bit louder, because things like, maybe can't hear. So he stopped him mid-sentence. I heard the question. It's stealing. It's misrepresentation. Right? Fraud. Essentially, it's fraud. So he says, how can you do that? It's forbidden. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you think it's permissible? Never answer this. This person's answer, I can't make it up because a friend of mine was there when he asked the question. And the person said, Rabbi, that's business. Really? You're allowed to defraud people? Jews, non-Jews, doesn't matter. It's fraud. Now you say, well, at least the person's asking the question. Some people wouldn't even ask the question. They're out to defraud people. They want to make more money. Obviously, if it's not real gold, they can sell for more. They can make a bigger profit. Okay, I get it. Who says you're allowed to misrepresent? Many, many business laws, just a side point, are all, most of them, I shouldn't say all of them, most of them are 100% Torah obligations. Like forbidden, whatever they are, they're Torah obligations. So a lot of people run to learn the laws of blessings, the laws of Shabbos. A lot of the laws of Shabbos you have to know. For sure you have to know. Many of the laws of Shabbos are rabbinical. I mean, there are plenty that are, that they derive from the Torah. Okay. But if a person's in business, you got to know these laws. These can be Torah prohibitions, all of them. Now, fraud is a huge thing. It's a huge thing because if a Jew does it, either defrauds another Jew or even a non-Jew, whether they're religious or not, doesn't really matter. The point is, that's desecration of God's name, not in the literal sense. The literal sense is it has to be done in front of 10 Jews, right? When you don't do it in front of 10 Jews, people say, I hear all the time, oh, that's desecration of God's name, that's desecration of God's name. Yeah, it's not good. 100% it's not good, but according to strict definition, that's not what it is. Right? But people, throw this term around. I'll tell you another story. Person did a similar thing. Orthodox Jew does a similar thing. Someone comes back and says, this isn't what you said it is. Right? They called them on it and they got caught. They got caught defrauding somebody. Secular Jew. So this person says to secular Jew, you Orthodox Jews, you should, don't you have to uphold by the Torah? You're not allowed to steal, you're not allowed to misrepresent. How can you do that? It goes against what the Torah says, what the Bible says. It's a disgrace. This person's right. I'll tell you what this Orthodox Jew answered. Never answer this. This Orthodox Jew says, don't put Orthodox Jews on such a high pedestal. That is the wrong answer. That is the wrong answer. Just the opposite. If we're God's chosen people, and we are supposed to uphold what God says, this looks really bad. Yeah. In the strict sense of the word, it's not a desecration of God's name, but it looks really bad. And they're going to say all Jews are thieves and this and that. Makes everybody look bad. Collective punishment makes everybody look bad. But to say don't put Jews on such a high pedestal, okay, you can tell me. I can always say any non-Jews move into a Jewish community and they see how Jews act and they still want to convert to Judaism, right? Either they're, the real deal or a little bit wacko, right? Why? People say, well, come on, you see how Jews act. Like, I want to be a Jew, and you see how Jews act, and some lie, and some steal, and some do other things. So most people would say, okay, don't mix up Jews and Judaism, even if they're Orthodox Jews. But you're going to say, don't they have to uphold the Torah? Yes. Isn't it a much more severe sin they do something wrong? Sure it is. 100%. We're our own worst enemy. No question. Doesn't mean secular Jews don't have to keep the Torah. They also do. I'll tell you how skewed it can get. Somebody once told me, somebody once told me that a Jew, Orthodox Jew, got caught. I don't know, whatever they did wrong. They got caught, whether it's fraud or I don't know, something else, whatever. They got caught doing something wrong. So what does the secular Jew say? Secular Jew says, I don't do that. I don't commit, let's say it was fraud. I don't commit fraud. This person is supposed to uphold what the Torah says. So if they don't keep it and they don't do what they're supposed to do, well, I'm okay because, I might do other things wrong, but I didn't do that. So that means I don't have to keep it. Meaning I don't have to keep what the Torah says. Now, where's the logic? If Reuven does something wrong, whether it's big transgression, little transgression, doesn't matter. Reuven does something wrong. Shimon can say, see, I didn't do that. So I'm gonna look much better in God's eyes. I don't have to keep this or I don't have to do that. Right? Compared to Reuven. God's not going to compare you to anybody else. When a person dies after 120 years, God's not going to ask, why weren't you like this person? Why weren't you like that person? Why didn't you reach, this person's potential? He's not going to ask that. He's going to say, you got your own potential. Why didn't you do what you were supposed to do? under the obligations you're given. Why didn't you do it? Oh, but look at this other person. God's going to say, I'm not interested in that other person. I'll deal with them. I for sure will deal with them. But that's not the question here. Question is, I'm looking right through your soul. You did this, and you did that, so you're liable, or maybe not, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what anyone else did. Now, it does get complicated a little bit because you can say, well, look what this person did. This person, let's say, embarrassed them. Or their rabbi embarrassed them. They felt so bad what happened, they left Judaism. Let's say they were an Orthodox Jew and they felt so bad, so smacked upside the head, they left. They left Judaism. Now, they get upstairs. God said, God's looking at the files. Wow, he kept so many mitzvahs. What happened? What happened over here? God, so the person would say, didn't you see? You know what happened? Got embarrassed. This rabbi embarrassed me in front of everybody. It's supposed to be, figure, Judaism is supposed to uphold what the Torah says. Use your portion of the world to come. Is that right, God? Use your portion of the world to come. You embarrass someone in public. That's the halacha. You lose your portion of the world to come. So yeah, God's going to say, I'll deal with that person. You have no worries. I'll deal with them. I say, but what's going to happen? I felt so bad. Felt like I want to go crawl underneath a rock. Felt so useless. So nothing. Painful. So we can't ever judge anyone unless we've been in their shoes. But at the end of the day, now, what could God say? I'll put on my funny George Burns glasses, my funny mustache here, right? So if I were God, what would I say? I'd say, you're right. That person did a terrible thing, a horrific thing. And they are going to get duly punished, don't you worry. I will take care of business. You have nothing to worry about. But what could God also tell them? This is a serious test. Like any test the person goes through. Now, it's going to take a very big person to do this and say, maybe the person had a bad day. Maybe other things going on. Doesn't give the person the right to do it. So I made this mistake once that someone got convicted of money laundering. And I made the mistake of saying, at least when the person got caught, they admitted what they did was wrong. I made the mistake of saying, I'm glad they admitted what they did was wrong. Because most people don't admit what they do is wrong. Even if they get caught. Even if their hand's in the cookie jar. They don't want to admit it. I had 10 reasons why I was in the cookie jar. I had permission to be in the cookie jar. I had this, I had that. But what do they want to say here? They feel bad only because they got caught. This person at least said what they did was wrong. So I said, I think that's a great thing. At least they admitted what they did was wrong, because most people don't admit what they did was wrong. Look at all the people get caught doing things, Ponzi schemes, other things. They admit they did anything wrong. A lot of them. I mean, I haven't taken a survey, but it's very rare. It's very rare you see that. Forget they feel bad about it, really feel bad. In any case, what do I have over here? Person did this. So I said, I'm glad he admitted what he did was wrong. I got hammered. Hammered. I didn't say what he did was right. I'm not going to defend what the person did. I have my own theories why they did it. I could understand. But I'm not giving them a free pass. Did something wrong. Seriously wrong. So the blog hammered me. Back and forth. We want, it put me in a corner. And then we want you to say why the person did it. So I built it up, and I left them with nothing. But Imagine I had this happen also. Secular Jew tells me I saw an Orthodox Jew in a casino. I said, okay. They said, well, what were they doing in a casino? I said, probably gambling. Having a good time losing money. They're like, no, according to your religion. I love how secular Jews say that. According to your religion, even though they're also Jewish. According to your religion, is that forbidden? Yes. So why were they doing it? As I told you, probably having a good time, losing money. They like to gamble. Yeah. No, but why are they doing it? It goes against, go against the religion. Okay. Why do people smoke? Why are people overweight? Why do people do other things? I don't have to answer for that. I could, in theory, and my answer is just as good as anyone else's. Yeah. Why people do certain things, those questions I never really answer. But the same thing. I have to answer for someone else. We're going to have a hard enough time answering for ourselves after we die. I'm not going to try and answer for someone else. And that's exactly what I said. I said, you want the answer? You want to pin me down why they did it? So I kept building. Finally, I said, go ask them. They said, go ask them. I'm not answering for them. Not my job to answer for someone. All I said was I was glad they admitted they were wrong. Created havoc. Do those words imply I said I'm glad what they did? I approve what they did? I'm going to say money laundering is a good thing? Come on. I said I'm glad they admitted they were wrong. And you know what they say, in the news, if you say dog bites man, no one's going to read the article. No big deal. Happens all the time. If you say man bites dog, that's a story. Because it's not really that common. Now, Orthodox Jews are out there. People see Orthodox Jews all the time, right? They do something wrong, gets magnified. Well magnified, beyond, multiplied by infinity. If a secular person did it, people would look at, wouldn't it be such a big deal? An Orthodox Jew does it, why is it so much worse? Because they're supposed to represent the Torah. They're supposed to keep what the Torah says at the highest level. Some do it better, some not, whatever. But that's what we're supposed to do. So when a person does something wrong, again, it makes all Jews look bad. But at the same time, we have to uphold what the Torah says. That's what we have to do. You can't say, well, don't just put us on a high pedestal. You're gotta be an idiot for saying that. We're on a high pedestal for a reason. It's a huge responsibility. I wish more people would take it seriously. Be careful everything we do, everything we say. Body language. Gotta be careful. We don't want to offend people. People do it. People make mistakes. Hey, people are human, fine. So people understand you don't mix up Jews and Judaism, even Orthodox Jews. I was just listening earlier, people invest money with other people, and then the whole thing goes sour, and they lose all their money. Right? The whole thing, giving someone who invests money, it could be just like, leaving it in the road, for everyone to grab. It could be just sucker bet. You're giving them money. Yeah, you may make money, may not make money. But it's like, if you want something that's like almost foolproof, you're not going to give it to someone who's a syndicate or whatever. It's like you're throwing money away. All right, person's got a big beard, long coat, big hat. Doesn't matter. They might have their interests. They want to help them make money, but maybe they're taking risks they shouldn't take. And the person investing doesn't know. Right? They don't know. So it's like throwing money away. So the person was saying this, as Rabbi was saying, these people are stupid. They're stupid giving their money. Listen, they make money, it's one thing, but a lot of them lose money. A lot of them lose a lot of money. Not just talking Ponzi schemes and other things. That's not even talking about that. So a person has to be careful. No question. I get this all the time. People come out of Christianity and, they've been lied to by the church for years and years. Like, why should I listen to you? I'm like, that's a very good point. Why should you? That's a great point. I remember I commented on someone's post once. I was telling someone this earlier, I think. And and so I said to someone yesterday, and so I commented, whatever. Someone asked, whatever, halachic questions, whatever. So I answered the question, whatever, I have to be online. So the question, so I answered it. And someone said, well, you're asking him. Why ask him? He's only a rabbi on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, why ask him? Yeah, I get it. The vetting process. A lot of mistrust. Can't listen to the church fathers. Why should you listen to the rabbis? The ones make up everything, quote unquote. Got to be trust. Not so easy to trust. Very good. And unfortunately, there's fraud out there. People, guarantee this, guarantee that, guarantee the other thing, and they lie. I know a number of people have been defrauded a lot of money. A lot of money, and the person didn't do anything. Just gave him a song. So yeah, there's a big trust issue. Makes sense. And unfortunately, there are people out there shouldn't be giving classes, shouldn't be even open their mouths. But anything that has to do with Judaism or for no eyes, to just keep their big mouth shut, cause a lot of damage. We'll make a distinction there, a big distinction there. It's kind of like going to an unlicensed therapist. Now, you have to have a lot of luck also. A person has to go to a therapist, you get the right one and, they help you and whatever. Right? Not so simple either. But if you go to someone who's unlicensed, maybe they read a lot of books, maybe they're very smart. Okay. Maybe save more money. Yeah, you save more money because, they're not fully licensed, but why would someone do that? It's like you're playing with fire, playing with your life. Okay, so rabbinic ordination isn't what it's all, what it's all said about. It's overrated, as I would say. But, what's the most important thing, besides the knowledge? The most important thing is A, where they got it from, and B, if they're still connected to somebody that's certainly above them, they get advice from. They have what they call Das Torah, their own rabbinic authority they go to. I've been spoiled 28 years. Got the greatest rabbi of the generation. Should be well. Ask him anything, anytime, any place. Hard to get into him now. It's more fragile. Okay, but people see my blogs. First thing I say. I know somebody out there, been doing Jewish outreach and working with converts many, many, many years. Got a beautiful resume. Beautiful resume. So one thing missing on the resume. The one thing missing on the resume is where do they go for their question? Who's their rabbinic authority they go to? Now, they can be very smart, have a lot of knowledge, but you have to answer somebody. Right? The Mishnah Pirkei Avos says you have to know your place. The Rabbi always told me, if you're out of line, I will tell you. And he's done it. He has definitely done it a number of times. But that's good. Kept me in line. I didn't do anything without it. Got hundreds of questions. I asked him one day I'll publish them. Yeah, every last thing I asked him. Now, does this mean these people are God? No. They have a lot of knowledge that most people don't have. There's different levels. Or what people know. I've spoken about this before, but it's important to have someone you go to. Can ask questions. Get answers, real answers. People need guidance. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. But people need guidance. Hard to navigate on their own. Especially no eyes. A lot of people have no idea what to do with them. What they're allowed to do, not allowed to do. Just let them convert. Well, you can't just blow them off. There are a lot of people out there want to know what to do with this case, that case. This applies, doesn't apply. But as we said, I see a bunch of questions here, right? But as we said, there are people out there, they shouldn't open their mouths. they do more damage. Sometimes outright lying and misrepresenting. Yeah, and those are two of my personal, pet peeves. People that lie and people who misrepresent Torah. Non-Jews, have less of an issue. Because, okay, how much are they supposed to know anyway and whatever. Jews who misrepresent is a different issue. That bothers me to no end. Okay, you want to tell me someone made a mistake, misquoted something, okay. People make mistakes. No one's infallible. People make mistakes. When someone, misrepresents and they tell something that's not true, they're going to pay a serious price. A serious price because they're misleading people. I had someone said something and they hammered me for saying something. And I said, but you outrightly lied. I said, I can read Hebrew. I saw exactly what you quoted. That's not what it says. Yeah, I know. No. It's not that you know. Make a video, go on someone's podcast, and say, I said it wrong. Admit you were wrong. Never happened. But I said, admit you were wrong. That's not what it says. You think, I can read Hebrew. I can learn the Rambam, just like, other people can also. But if you quote something in Hebrew, no one can read Hebrew, but it's saying something you're not saying it says. That's kind of a problem. The person brushed it under the rug. I'm like, you can't brush it under the rug. Go out, make a video, say you were wrong. You want to say I came out too strong and I shouldn't have said what I said? I clarified it. Okay. Clarified what I said. Still stand by what I said. But this person never went back and clarified that. Outrightly lied. Now, I don't know if they're making money from it. They're not making money from it. Doesn't matter. It's an outright lie. So if you tell me, listen, someone got caught saying something, they made a mistake, they misquoted something, okay. People can do that. It happens. But it can't be something that goes against what the Torah says. Or they're using it to turn into a pretzel to say what it means, but it doesn't really mean that. There are a lot of well-meaning people out there. Okay. Going in front of an audience is a responsibility. Working with people who have limited knowledge and they want to learn. First of all, you can't water it down, that's for sure. You got to tell it the way it is. Not a lot of people do because they want to be politically correct, thank God. I have to answer to God and my Rabbi in that order. It's not about being politically correct. But you got to say what it says. Like my Rabbi would say, if a person's the rabbi of a synagogue, and the synagogue is not trying to drive him out of town, he's not doing his job right. Meaning, you got to say and give over what people need to hear, not what they want to hear. Because what people want to hear is all fluff. It doesn't help them. Yeah, it makes them feel good. Okay. But, but helping their soul grow, it's not helping them. I heard a story someone said, I've heard the story many times. You have someone, let's say, is a rabbi of a synagogue. When people come to synagogue, they drive, whatever, on Shabbos, and never ever said driving on Shabbos is forbidden. And then they find out later, let's say a number of years later, say, hey, you never said that driving on synagogue Shabbos was forbidden. Death penalty, no prohibition. If there'd be a temple in Jerusalem, I'd be dead. How come you never told anyone? How come you never said the severity of it? Come on, it's hard to get people to come. I don't want to offend people. People won't come otherwise. We're saving their lives here. If you don't tell them that it's forbidden, you're putting a stumbling block in front of them. Talking about Jews, not non-Jews. You're putting a stumbling block in front of them. But I don't want to offend people. Not about offending people. You got to tell them what the truth is. No matter if it's holding there, not holding there. They got to know. For all these years, been talking about this, talking about that. You never told his friend to drive on Shabbos. You never told him you're not allowed to take bones out of a fish on Shabbos. Selection, you can't do that. Or different ways, how to do it, but you don't even know it's forbidden. So what? So I took a bone out. How am I can't eat it if I take a bone out. Okay. Well, that's true. But if I take the good from the bad, that's forbidden on Shabbos for a Jew. Or I take the bad from the good, that's forbidden. Oh, no, it's a stringency. It's not a stringency. It's pretty clear. It's forbidden. I cannot tell people that. I cannot teach that, give that over. So people know how to keep Shabbos properly. And these people get upstairs and go say, I never knew about that one. Imagine seeing this this big video and you see these giant fish and whatever. It's a problem. People have to know what to do. Now, sometimes it's hard to hear what you have to do. It's a different issue. But you're irresponsible if you don't tell them. I'll give one example. I'll take questions here, but I'll give one example. Someone I work with a number of years ago told me that there's a Jew married to a non-Jew. The non-Jew was converting, and they came to Israel. And they find out 3 months before the wedding, before the conversion, they have to separate. They can't live together. Now, they've been married more than 35 years. Now, what's the reason? Because, there's a question about if she would get pregnant. Yeah, the Gemara says it has to be a 3-month separation. Right? Yeah, it could be. It's no possible way she get pregnant. She's older, maybe. But it's pretty clear. 3 months means 3 months. Can't rely on a blood test. I know a rabbinical court that did rely on a blood test. The woman was in her mid-40s. Relied on a blood test. There is an opinion that holds you could rely on that. Blood test is 99% accurate. My Rabbi flipped. The Gemara says 3 months. 3 months means 3 months, not a month and a half in a blood test. Yeah. So what did this person tell me? I don't want to get bogged in details here, but what did this person tell me? This person said, I never knew. In this process, my wife's been in the process for a while. I never knew, before the conversion, they have to separate. Now, the person, moved to Israel. Doesn't really know too many people, but he's got to leave his house. He can't be with his wife in his house. He has to sleep somewhere or have someone else sleep there that's older, whatever, for 3 months. They can be together during the day, not at night. Yeah? They can't be together intimately for 3 months. So it's I can't believe this. No one ever told me. No one ever warned me about it. So the person asked me, he says, "Do you speak about that in your classes?" I said, most people taking any of my classes don't know this at some point. It comes up. It definitely comes up here and there. I don't necessarily tell them at the beginning. No point. Right? But it comes up. I said, by the time they finish, they'll probably hear about it. They probably have heard about it. This person was rip-roaring mad. It's total inconvenience. At least if they would have told them at some point, the person would have felt more calm about it. Leave his house every night. Go different places. So he asked me, he says, you tell people that? I said, not necessarily at the beginning, but I'll tell them. They'll find out about it. They're not going to find out at the last second. Again, how much they're going to come up with conversation anyway. I'm going to take the convert. It takes a while. Maybe they forgot. I don't know. Whatever it is. But this person was rip-roaring mad. Should have been told earlier. I agree. You don't wait the last second to spring that on someone. I agree. Why they didn't tell them, I don't know. But they should have known at some point. At some point in the process, they should have been told. Yeah, I wouldn't tell them at the beginning. Okay, it doesn't matter. They have to be told at some point. So we don't do that and you push it off, look what happens. Yeah, let me take some questions here. Someone says, if you get embarrassed, all your sins are forgiven if you do nothing. Right. You can give out blessings. The person's embarrassed, right? I didn't really go into detail about that, but you're right. If a person gets embarrassed, if a person does get embarrassed, they don't say anything, they have the ability to get blessings. But that's a huge thing not to say anything. That is true. The other person who said it, unless the person forgives them, who's the portion of the world to come? Someone says, Mikdash Melch states, name of Chaim Vital. Okay, getting into Kabbalah here. Let's see. Adam should have first eaten from the tree of life, or should have eaten from both. Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you. Why did God throw him out of the Garden of Eden after eating from the tree of knowledge? One very simple reason, because if you would have eaten from the tree of life, bang, right? It's going to live forever. Yeah. God said, you have to die. Dying is atonement, not full atonement, but a person gains atonement by death. Very good. So that's partial atonement. If you don't die, you don't get that atonement. So therefore, you can't eat from the tree of life. Because if he eats from the tree of life, you don't get that atonement. So good. If he ate from if he would have eaten from the tree of life first, you're right. You're right. Then he could have eaten from the tree of knowledge and he wouldn't have got that atonement, but he would have lived forever, right? 100%. So I mentioned about, taking out bones. That's why you can filter fish, right? Why people eat gefilte fish on Shabbos, no bones. That's exactly why. Probably to scare non-Jews also. Yeah, but gefilte fish has no bones. Right? It has no bones, crushed fish, you don't have that problem with selection. That is probably the reason why we eat gefilte fish. On Shabbos. All right, let's see questions here. Right, someone here says, yeah, interested in always seeking truth. Sometimes the truth is hard to hear. But one thing, actually, I don't want to get sidetracked. I did get sidetracked. Right. One thing I'll mention, and again, it's a much, much bigger topic, and that is, okay, let's talk about the person got embarrassed. Now, is Rabbi embarrassed? If he doesn't ask for his forgiveness, loses his portion of the world to come. If the person doesn't speak out, as somebody said, and doesn't lash out, and he's silent after being embarrassed, he's got the ability to get blessings. And those blessings have a lot of power. Why do they have a lot of power? Because the person is very vulnerable. Could have said all kinds of things. They don't say nothing. When they don't say nothing, it's a huge thing in heaven. Huge thing. To the extent where that person now has the ability to get blessings. Has the ability to get blessings. Now, let's analyze this for a second. So no one can judge somebody unless they've been in their shoes. Now, God's going to say, or potentially will say, you're right, you got embarrassed. One of the serious problems this generation, this cream puff generation, I would call it, is people have no self-esteem, very little self-esteem. So this person, I can understand, even if they had self-esteem, got crushed. So the person says to God, what do you want from me? This person embarrassed me. What's God going to say? Right. I'm going to deal with them. Now, I wanted to see how strong your soul was. I put you in the test to see if you're going to lash out at Judaism, or regardless, you're going to see it for what it is, you're going to move on. Maybe you need therapy, other things, but you're going to move on. Now, someone's going to say, come on, doesn't God know past, present, future? God does. He knows everything, so he knows how you're going to react. The only thing he doesn't know is your level of fear of heaven. Okay. But he knows what you're going to do. So why put you through it? Because you have to be tested. You're in this world to be tested. Right? The Ramchal says that in Derech Hashem, the way of God. He says the path is just. You have to be tested. There'd be all kinds of tests. This is also a test. Now, does that mean we shouldn't be upset? We shouldn't. No, it's a serious thing. But see, isn't every test, if we fail a test, let's say, whatever the test may be, isn't it at some level lack of emunah, the lack of belief and faith in God? You can say, why? Now, let's say, we'll use this case as an example. Person got embarrassed. Nobody wants to get embarrassed. Nobody wants to be rebuked. Now, in this case, the person got embarrassed. Then the person will go out and say, okay, God's putting me through this test. God, for some reason, wants me to get slapped upside the head, and he's going to use this person to do it. It's the famous example of the dog being hit by a stick. Now we're advocating it. If a dog gets hit by a stick, who does the dog go after? The stick. So God could say, you're right. I put you through that test. So you screamed out and lashed out against me. But you didn't see what was going on. Why did I have to do that to you? I had to do that because your ego was out of control. Again, let's say this is the case. I don't know. Hypothetically. You really thought, you're God's gift to the world. You could walk on water, you could do anything. No, no repercussions. I want to show you the repercussions in this world. So what did you do? You spiraled out of control. You left. But you see, how do we see the bigger picture in general? Is everything bad? Every little thing is bad? Okay, there are things that happen that, are pretty bad. Now, don't we believe whatever God does is for the best? With my podcast I just did yesterday, BJQ Radio, give a plug for that. On the Roku Network. Spoke about suffering, speaking about it for the last number of weeks, these podcasts. It's a test. It's like wealth is a test. Poverty is a test. Wealth's a test to show if you're going to help others. Are you going to be haughty? You're going to be conceited. Poverty is a test. You're going to thank God even for the little that you have. They're both tests. Everybody has tests. But see, a lot of things that are thrown our way, we're not in control. See, what's one of the biggest tests? How we grew up. See, the Mishnah Perkei Avos says in ethics for our fathers, you're born against your will, you die against your will. Right? Coppin would say in parentheses, you still have to live. Now, are we in control of our parents are? No. Are we in control of siblings? No. Socioeconomic situation? No. And to boot, we're given certain DNA from our parents, for better or for worse. So we're not in control. A person can grow up in a messed up house. So the question is, how does it affect a person? And a person's supposed to reach certain potential. And God knows I'm going to put you in a certain body. I'm going to put the soul in a certain body. God knows what he's doing. So if he knows what he's doing and he puts you in a specific body, very good. That's going to help you reach the greatest potential. You're going to say, come on. Look at this family. Look how messed up it is. I'll give an example because he's told the story himself many times. Nissim Black, right? Black rapper, whether they like rap or not, whatever. Now his rap is, to Jewish things. He grew up in a crack house in Seattle, Washington. Grew up in a crack house, essentially. So many times family members got arrested, police came in, was on marijuana at the age of 12. And he said on himself, it's an absolute miracle he didn't die. He shouldn't be alive today. Look how he turned, look where his life took him. So yeah, that's a seriously messed up place to grow up in. He didn't ask for it. He for sure didn't ask for it. He didn't have a choice. God put his soul in that body, even by non-Jews. Because every person is creating God's image. It doesn't say every Jew. It says every non-Jew. Right? Sorry, it says everybody. All mankind. The non-Jews have purpose also. So he could have fallen through the cracks, no pun intended. He could have got demolished in life. Easily. And look what he's doing. Look how far he's come. And other people know. They grow up in a similar environment and go totally the other way. Probably die of a drug overdose before they're 30, if they're lucky. So, what's the difference? To grow up in, let's say, a similar environment, different things, what's the difference? He was able to see through things. He was able to get out of it. The other person wasn't. Now, it's because of he's gifted? I don't know if it's because of he's gifted. God saw potential. God stuck him in a place, stuck him in a crack house from a very young age. I mean, how many people are going to come out of that normal? In any way. Mind-boggling. Inspirational. No question. But couldn't we say a person grew up that way? Like, if they didn't turn out all right, it's not their fault. You can't blame them. Look how they grew up. You'll say they came from a broken home. Okay. A lot of people come up from messed up houses. The question is what do they do with it? What do they do? What happens to them? How do they deal with it? And again, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy by any stretch, but you know what? When God wants someone to reach their potential and wants something to happen, it's kind of like squeezing the bottom of the toothpaste. Couldn't God extract it in a different way? God puts the Jewish people in the land of Egypt. God takes them out early because they would have reached the last level of impurity. They wouldn't have come out, otherwise they would have disappeared spiritually. So God had to take them out early. But didn't God understand? Didn't God understand if he puts them in that situation, they're going to get destroyed spiritually? Come on, nod your head. Yeah, God understands that. So what's the reason he put them there? One reason, I'll give you one reason. Where did Moshe Rabbeinu grow up? Moses grew up in the palace of the king. So some commentaries explain why did he have to go through that? The Jewish people have to suffer. Because first of all, they had to understand what kingship was in this world. We don't understand what kingship is today. We have no clue what kingship is. It's a lost art. We have no idea what kingship is. Could be. Some of the commentaries say God put the Jewish people in Egypt to understand what it means to serve a king, a flesh and blood king, and what it means to serve the King of Kings. But see, they have no context. If they had grown up, in suburbia and who knows what would they know from kingship? What would they know what it means to serve a king? They would know nothing. Nothing. The fact they saw a human flesh and blood king that was an absolute dictator, thought he was God himself. That's kingship. False kingship, but it's kingship. So God sticks them there, takes them out, early, because otherwise it would have been destroyed spiritually. Okay, we'll have to speak about that as well. But they have to see what kingship is. When they see what kingship is, and they can fathom long enough what kingship is, now they understand what the King of Kings is. Now they understand what it's going to be to serve him. But see, that's the obvious question. God takes them out, brings them to Mount Sinai in order to accept the Torah, in order to be subservient to God himself, the King of Kings. How in the world are they ever going to know what kingship is if they never saw it? if they never saw it, they can't understand what it is. They can only understand what it is if they saw it. And then, and then it goes out explicitly because some of the things we do, let's say by one of the prayers by Shemona Esrei, the silent meditation, whatever you want to call it, we take, 3 steps back, then we take 3 steps forward. And at the end, we take 3 steps back, we bow, we bow to the right, to the left, to the center, because you have to know how to approach a king. How would we know how to approach a king if you never saw what kingship is? But again, at the same time, God put them there in order that they see what kingship is. Very good. But they had to take them out early. Because all the impurity, everything that was going on, they would have got destroyed. Right? They would have got destroyed otherwise. Yeah, so God's way is very mysterious, right? Very hard to understand. Right? Very, very hard to understand. Somebody asks, one second. Somebody asks, is no idol allowed to lift and move containers? Crane operator job, let's say. What if the container, there's an idol worship statue? I don't know if that matters. Just because you're moving things around, first of all, it's not the way you would ever serve an idol anyway. And if you're picking other things up and you have to move down things around and, I don't know, maybe you have to crouch over or whatever, that's not worshiping it, because that's not the way you normally worship it. Right? Even if, let's say, Murphy's Law will make him Jewish here, Mr. Murphy Stein, let's say person had a number of bills that fell in front of an idol. Obviously, you want to pick up the bills, yeah? How are you allowed to pick up the bills? Because when you pick up these bills, you have to bow down to get them. So you're going to say, but I have no intention to serve the idol. You're right. Right? But one of the ways you serve an idol is bowing to it. But you say, I'm picking up the monies. No intention. I have negative intention here. Doesn't matter. That's the way you normally serve an idol. Right? That is the way. That is the way you normally serve an idol. So what would you do in such a case? The only thing you can do is that you would turn your back to the idol. You would turn your back to the idol and then pick up the money. Even if you have to crouch over. Why? Because that's not the way you serve it. Normally, you serve an idol, you bow in front of it. Not with your back. Kind of maybe disrespectful, so to speak. Yeah, your back to the idol. Okay. Yeah, but that's the way to do it. Because otherwise, even though you have no intention to serve the idol that way, guess what? You serve an idol by bowing to it. You're picking up money, so what? You have to do it in a way where it doesn't look like I'm serving it. Doesn't matter what your intention is, right? So in this case, it wouldn't be an issue. Absolutely would not be an issue, right? Even if the container, had an idol in it, okay, doesn't mean you can't move it. Doesn't mean you can't pick it up. Picking up's not a problem. It's not, doesn't make you, we're all impure anyway, so, but the thing made out of stone, it's not going to make you impure or anything, by touching it, per se. There are people that, were stringent not to go near it, not to, walk near it or whatever, but, you got the person, the crane operator, they were going to move it, okay, that's not a problem, right? It's not idolatry, it's not the way you serve idols, right? So that shouldn't be an issue. Right. I'll say like this. Even if you know there's an idol in there, let's say, yeah, if you didn't know it was in there, wouldn't be a problem at all. Right. But in either case, even if you knew it was there, it wouldn't be a problem. Because that's not the way you serve it. Since it's not the way you serve it, doesn't matter. You say, but what about the impurity that it has? What about the effect? Okay, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. It's not idol worship. Cheskel Levinston, of blessed memory, was the Mashgiach, the spiritual mentor of the Mir Yeshiva, and he had like a 2-minute walk to the yeshiva, but it happened to be going by a church. So he walked around the entire town. He walked around the entire town not to be in the vicinity of the church. Okay, there are people that are at that level. Other people will probably just, walk around it and it wouldn't be a problem. That's what happened with with Rivka. Every time she went by a place of idolatry, Esav wanted to jump her. Every time went by a study hall, Yaakov wanted to jump her. Right? Say, how could she go? How should she go in a place of idolatry? So they say she wasn't that close. She wasn't that close. Right? That would make it forbidden. But yeah, in this case, it wouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't be a problem because of idolatry. Yeah. Let me see. Any other questions? Can we work a job that there are no non-Jews? You can try and find one. If a person lives in let's say, more of a Jewish area, maybe there are places where no non-Jews are there. Could be. It's rare to find. It's even rare here to find in Israel. Depends what type of job. Depends what type of job. There's certain places there that have different hours for men and women. Like women work in the morning, men work at night, right? Afternoon at night, certain companies. But it's very rare unless you do something online. But even if you do something online, yeah, could be you come in contact with non-Jews also, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Working with people who are not spiritually focused, frustrating. Yes. Common question. You're not alone. You are not alone. It's aggravating the way people talk, the way they dress. Yeah. So, is there any clean-cut jobs out there where you don't have to be part of that? The only thing I can say is, yeah, maybe there are some companies in more religious areas that maybe cater something like that. Maybe. But it could be a mixture also, just even of religious Jews. Well, you say that's better. That is better. Doesn't mean it's not fraught with problems either. There are other issues there also. But this is the problem. I would tell you the only thing I can think of that would not have this issue, and that is if you worked online. But if you work online, even if you do work online, then then there's probably still a possibility, or good possibility, you'd be in contact with non-Jews, right? Just or secular Jews, right? Doesn't mean you're working around them, all the time, per se. But if a person had something where it always sounds too good to be true, maybe you have to make it, maybe it's automatic. It's an automated thing, to do anything. You don't have to speak to people, to sell anything or whatever. I mean, it's very rare that some of these things that actually do work. But that would be the only thing. I can't think of anything else that I mean, there are jobs, but it doesn't necessarily have to be there. COVID helped that. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be there in person. I mean, plenty of jobs you have to be there at some point. But yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem because you come in contact with people you don't want to be in contact with. Not the way they dress, not the way they speak, but it's it's a challenge. That's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. So if you ask me offhand, I can't think too much. Most things a person's gonna do, you be in contact with others. And those others mean secular Jews, non-Jews. Maybe there'll be religious Jews, depending where you live. But to find a place where it's not going to be like that, it's very rare. It's very rare. Like I said, in more religious places, yeah. So, There's less issue. There is less issue, but it's not foolproof. And then again, you run into other problems if it's mixed, it's men and women, even if they're all religious. They all set that boundary. Yeah, I know somebody that you know, if they need to speak to a friend of theirs husband or a man or whatever, they'll call him Rabbi so and so. He was not a rabbi, it doesn't matter. Just distance. They won't call him by the first name. Distance. Because you don't have distance, things can happen. You think, come on, married a long time, this, that, whatever. Doesn't matter. You never test faith. Right? It's biggest urge God gave. So like to say like you're immune from it, no one's immune. The story I just read, the great rabbi and I don't know, someone was there waiting, a woman was there waiting, whatever, and like he was ready to jump out a window, like put his life in danger. So like someone came and whatever, straightened out the situation, but like they said, like you could have killed yourself. He says it doesn't matter what age a person is, the Yetzer Hara comes, the evil inclination comes, can do anything. Or try and do anything. So he said, better I jump out a window. Again, you can say it's a little bit extreme. But everyone has to know themselves also. They're not simple. That I would say, not so simple. At what point should a JIT move to a Jewish community? I would say as quick as possible. But it doesn't always work out that way. Probably the single hardest thing for a Jew in training to do is to move to a Jewish community, right? But if a person has an opportunity, and it can work job-wise, they should do it. Right? Obviously, you're going to find synagogue you're going to feel comfortable with, speak to a rabbi there before you do it. But yeah, I would do it as quick as possible. Doesn't always work out that way, but that has to be the end goal. It really has to be the end goal. I would say straight away, if possible. You don't want to have to keep moving around also, but sometimes, person's stuck, they got a lease and they can't move, or financially they can't move for now. It might take more time. Whatever it is, that all may be true. But I'm saying if a person has an opportunity and they can do it, yeah, it's a game changer. Game changer. Like someone once told me they moved to a Jewish community. They told me that, you never spoke enough about it. What the difference is. I said, of course I did. But you have to see it. You have to see it for yourself. You can't just drink the Kool-Aid. It's true. It's very true. Going to a community is a game changer. Right? So if someone can get to a community, they have the means to get to a community, I would say ASAP. You do it as quick as possible. Right? For a lot of people, it's much harder. Much harder. I wouldn't discourage people from doing it. Just the opposite. Just the opposite. You do whatever you can to do it. You make that, priority. That has to be done. And and it is a game changer. I don't think there's any question. But, it has to work out. You don't just jump into something. It has to work out. Job-wise and how far it is from the synagogue. And, there are a lot of moving parts here. But I'm not saying it can't be worked out. But that is something that should be done as quick as possible. I say that and I'm thinking like, it can take 6 months to a year, depending. Yeah. Person can get out of their lease early, good. But it's got to work. You can't go there blind. It has to work, before you do it. But yeah, I would say ASAP. That's what I would say. Yeah. Any other questions? Someone here says the red take half pay and work around holy people. Okay. There is what to be said for that. There is definitely what to be said for that, but you got to be practical also. It's like I said, this comes up a lot. Especially where you got people with quote unquote different genders, you can't say anything and whatever. It's complex. Not only, I think the worst that's part of it, but I think the worst part is just the way people speak and the way they dress. And 99% of the time, whatever they speak is probably Lashon Hara. Right? And nothing good comes out of it. It's the opposite. You're right. You get aggravated the way, people curse and they speak and whatever. You're right. You got to tune it all up. It's not so easy. right? Yeah, that's a big test. That is a big test. I know somebody who was, I think it was a computer programmer. He had a night job. He worked overnight. That gets you out of the problem. I'm not saying someone should do that per se, you know, but you work at night. Then there was a story of somebody that was like top student in yeshiva, and he needed to make money, so he got this job, and there was like whatever, it was like late at night, and went to ask Rav Shach, bless him, remember they had a Panovich yeshiva. I told the story weeks back. And Rav Shach told him he can't do it. Can't work there. Because there's a woman there, comes and cleans, whatever. It's like, come on. This woman's Hispanic or black or whatever. Like, come on, you think I'm going to have any connection? Am I going to have any connection? I was married, I had a lot of kids. So Rav Shach says, you don't mess with the Torah. The rabbis told you you're not allowed to do this for a reason. Yeah. This person didn't listen. You need the money. Okay. Rav Shach told him it's forbidden, 100% forbidden. But he felt like he was getting squeezed. He had to do it. He did it. Well, guess what? One thing led to another, and this is what happened. They got together, divorced his wife. It was the whole story. Whole story. Say, come on. Different cultures, different this, different. Doesn't matter. The halacha is what it is. The rabbis aren't stupid. They understand. They understand 100% what's going on. So Rav Shach screamed at him. He said, this is what the Torah says. You don't move from what the Torah says. So this person thought he wanted to reinvent the wheel. Very good. And he paid a price, serious price. Do I have any advice for couples struggling to relate to each other? Oh. Any advice? Yeah, this happens. Happens a lot. Kids are out of the house. What would I say? It has to be common ground. I mean, can't just speak about, let's say, a person has kids or whatever, or their job. I mean, you got to relate one to the other. One way of, relating, even, conversations aren't so interesting, right? But there has to be interest there. It can't just be a physical interest. There has to be interest there, right? The problem becomes, I would say that, if there wasn't, let's say, a religious issue, then I would say you got to do more things together, go out together, have time together, right? But what happens if their interests start to change? See, this happens also. Person now gets, interested in Judaism, let's say. Let's say they want to convert, the spouse doesn't. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to get divorced, right? But a person can be very passionate about it and this and that, and the other spouse doesn't want. If that's the only issue, I wouldn't tell people to get divorced because of it. To find some common ground, right? But that can be a serious issue. That can definitely be a serious issue. Now, it doesn't have to be, if a person was raising kids and one person wanted to raise them Christian and the other, Jewish, or at least the Noahide or whatever. Yeah, it gets more complex. That definitely gets more complex. I know somebody that, like, they got ridiculed by their spouse and by the family because, they got interested in Judaism or whatever, like all the time. Right? They want to get divorced. Had a whole bunch of kids that want to get divorced. And eventually the person came around. The spouse finally came around, but it was whatever, it was very hard. It's very, very hard. So, the way to do it is do things together. Now, if doing things together doesn't help, and then you find less common ground, that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. That's probably one of the more serious things, even more than adultery and other things, that people end up later in life getting divorced because they didn't go in the same direction. They didn't nurture what they had. Because they didn't nurture what they had, there was nothing left at the end. So, even if you go in the same, even, if you believe in the same values. So if you don't believe in the same values, that gets more complex. Because if you don't believe in the same values, now these are your values, right? Torah is now your value. And now the person doesn't want anything to do with it. They're not interested. Yeah, but this is your now main core value. Now, that's a problem because if you tell me it's live and let live, okay, then you have to find other things of common interest. Now, what if you can't find, what if there's a big part of your life? Fine. They don't necessarily want to participate in it. That doesn't mean it's over. It means you got to find other common ground. Now, someone will ask me the $1 million question or $1.5 million question. That is, what if you can't find common ground? Yeah. So I'm not gonna say at that point. I'm not gonna say, at that point the relationship is over. But if, you know, if the relationship doesn't get nurtured and it's all just like elementary things and like running the household and kids and this and that, even the kids are out of the house, then there's nothing holding anything together. And this is the reason a lot of some, I shouldn't say a lot, but some marriages, even after 30 years, go sour when kids aren't around because they have nothing in common. I mean, it's a sad reality, right? It's definitely a sad reality, but it happens. So in order for that not to happen, so there have to be common interests and common things you like to do together, and you have to focus on that, not the things that you don't. But the more it goes that way, the worse it is. So it's like, I would say like this: it's like it's like a flower or like a plant. If you don't water it, it dies. I gave this once. I spoke once at a one of these festive meals you have after someone gets married. So I use this as a parable, for marriage. And people thought like, I don't know, maybe there's humor in me, right? It's like, wow, so such great insight in this and that. I mean, I would say it's the olive base. You have to work at it. It's not, and yeah, interest can change. Okay. But even if interest change doesn't mean, that the marriage is over. It means, you got to focus on more things that are common, right? Then someone will say, what if you have nothing in common? Now I've gone so far, you have nothing in common. So that's a problem. That's a serious problem. Yeah, if you find nothing in common, even if people are attracted to each other, you just have nothing to talk about. So you got to go back to like what brought you together in the first place. And go back to that. What drew you together, even if you're, you know, even if there's distance, I would say. What do I think about how good or bad the results are? The U.S. election, I think it's gewaldic. I think it's the best thing could have happened. Best thing could have happened. People say whatever they want about Trump. He's putting all the right people there, right? He's got Secretary of State very pro-Israel, very very pro-Israel. It's got Ambassador UN. What do you call it? Stefanik, great for Israel. All these people he's put in there are very very pro-Israel, extremely pro-Israel. He's got what do you call it? Like I said, what do you call it? Mark Rubio, Secretary of State, beautiful, beautiful. I just saw a clip. Very. So what are you going to do about it's genocide in Gaza? And he's like, we got to dismantle Gaza. We got to get rid of Hamas. What about the 15,000 women and children? He says, it's terrible. He said, but they're doing it to themselves. So he blamed Hamas, right? That was his answer. Yeah, very, very pro-Israel. Now, the question is, they're going to put pressure on Israel in order to have a two-state solution? I hope not, right? But that's the best thing that could ever happen. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it. If she would have got into power, the person who's going to put as national security advisor was an Arab. Because a Muslim, you want someone in charge of national security in the U.S.? The Muslim? I don't think so. I mean, all these leftists, it would have been a nightmare. A nightmare. They're already calling. They don't want to give arms to Israel now. Unless they give all this humanitarian aid, which Hamas is stealing. You can't live like that. I mean, you got to find munitions elsewhere, but people can say whatever they want about him. He was the greatest president Israel ever had. Ever. Not even close. Not even close. Also the, Ibrahim, Accords, and, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem. I mean, he did a lot of things. A lot of things very pro-Israel. Hope it doesn't change. But he's got a lot of people around him extremely pro-Israel. Huge. It's a huge thing. If she would have got into power, it's another 4 years of Obama. A nightmare. Not to mention what you would do to America. It's a whole other thing, but like nightmare for Israel. It's the best thing ever could happen. See where it goes. But people right now that he's surrounding himself with, tremendous, tremendous for Israel. That's what you need. But like, you've had all these administrations that have been like lukewarm at best. Obama hated Israel. Biden hated Israel. Right? She also hates Israel. I don't care if she's married to a Jew or not. She also hates. Yeah. A disaster. Absolute disaster. Yeah. Yeah. I see all these women like shaving their heads because he became president. Come on. It's a little bit extreme. Like someone asked me this, like, what do I think? I said, he has a clear mandate. Wipe the floor with her. Not even close. Not even close. Yeah. Pretty unbelievable. But obviously God wants him in power. So see. Always going to be tough on Iran. It's going to be tough on the Arabs. Not give them any more money. I mean, whatever. People are quaking in their boots now. Okay, he's a loose cannon. Okay, but like, you see what the Taliban's saying? You see what Putin's saying? You see what the Houthis are saying, even though they just sent some missiles here, but they don't want to deal with him. So what do you do with Biden? Didn't do anything. I don't know if he knows where he is either. But yeah, tremendous. Right? The thing he said, yeah, God wanted him around. Bullet missed him by an inch. I don't think they won't try and kill him still. Probably still try and kill him. Right? But, even so, he got the message. God sent him a message. He's around. Miracle. Absolute miracle. He turns the cheek one, millimeter away in another direction. He's good as dead. Pretty amazing. I mean, I don't think they're not going to go after him either. But like, hopefully he turns America around, turns the world around. I mean, America's going down the pot right now. No question. It's migrants, other things. Crazy. Crazy. Need someone strong. Yeah, again, I don't think character-wise he's the greatest person in the world, but, pro-Israel, can't get anyone better than that. We'll see what he says about a two-state solution, but like, he's going to let Israel do the job, do what they need to do, give them everything they need. I don't think it's going to be a problem here. Right? But we'll see. We're going to pray for that also. It's Qatar demanded Hamas leadership to go out. Yeah. There's all these people, get rid of the and UNRWA, get rid of all these things. Just stop funding them. Iran was on its knees before Obama gave money. On its knees. So yeah, we're gonna see where it goes, right? So we still got plenty of what to pray for, but yeah. We'll see, it's a lot of steps in the right direction. A lot of steps in the right direction. It's huge. Man, it's a lot of people like crying about it, but okay. I don't think the left's not going to try and cause problems and who knows what, but like, this is like, they ran America into the ground. Now got an opportunity to try and fix it, but it's got a lot of work to do, no question. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, Ethics of Our Fathers, Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wish every good beginning of the day.